Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well, and welcome back to the second half. I hope everyone is having an enjoyable evening. Before we get into today's second half, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. My merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description below. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on to the second half. Shall we? All right, guys. Tonight, I want to do something a little different, but with the same kind of flavor that we've been talking about. The missing persons, mutilated, discovered, and recovered bodies in the West Virginia area. And I want to kind of talk with the boots on the ground DJ about kind of like the atmosphere of where he lives, because Tazewell and Buchanan County is a hot spot. And he's lived there his entire life. And I kind of want to just, see how far it goes back, get his perspective, things that he's gone through, friends have gone through. So, DJ, how are you, buddy?
Pretty good, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing great. I've got an infection in my jaw, but other than that, I'm doing well. So you kind of heard what I wanted to get into. Now, you've grown up in Tazewell, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, how old were you when you had your first encounter?
22.
22. All right. Now, prior to that, had there been any discussion of Dogman, or was it just Sasquatch? What was the kind
of mainly Bigfoot and Wildcat, otherwise Cougar? I mean, everybody said that they're around, and other people around the campfire would say no. It's just an argument. Mainly, it was just any cryptid wise. It was basically all Bigfoot.
Bigfoot and Catamount, then.
Yeah, that's it. You got it right. Hit the nail right on the head, Jeff.
All right. So when you had your first encounter, you were hunting on your family's land. A lot of people have heard it. We're not going to rehash it. We'll touch a little bit about it, but what was your mentality when you saw this humongous, hairy, dog-like creature that didn't look like a Sasquatch, but kind of did as well?
Well, to put it in layman's terms, it's scary as hell, confused, trying to rationalize in my mind. My mind's running 5,000 things per minute, trying to as an example, what it is. It will break it down to try to think, and nothing I could come up with. I mean, I even thought it was an escaped monkey, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't know. I was confused and scared at the same time.
Okay. Now, your friend, was he the first person that you told, or was it your relative? I think you were hunting with your uncle. Who are you?
My friend, and he didn't believe me at first, okay. And then once he seen how tore out of frame I was, he believed me.
Yeah, because I've known you for a while, and I know you're big into firearms. You're big into weaponry and knives and stuff, and you're an outdoors guy. You love the outdoors, and you love anything associated with it. So it must have been, a little obvious that something was messed up.
A little earth shaking, yes, sir. You could say that.
Okay. All right. Now, you guys, I believe it was you after your experience when you saw your first Dogman, you go back with your friend. I think it was his dad, and who else was with you?
My stepdad.
Your stepdad. All right. Now, did you guys, I'm not recalling, but did you guys see any tracks or anything?
No. Well, we could see where I left the carcass laying of my harvest that deer, it had been moved.
Okay.
And there was leaves tore up around it about 10 to 15 feet. And other than that, until we got to the top of the mountain, his dad and my stepdad were making fun, poking fun, saying, wonder what we've been smoking, all that kind of gibberish. And there's an old tree that you cross when you cross the fence to that property line. There's always been it's an old white oak. It was bent. We call it the swivel tree. And when we went in, there was nothing on it. When we came out, there was a claw mark about, I was 7.5, 8.5 feet up on the tree. It was a 4-stroke mark, and it was at least a 1/4 inch deep. You could still see the sap running from the cuts.
Right. So it was fresh.
Yeah. And when they seen that, they shut up quickly.
All right. Now, Tazewell and Buchanan, I've been researching that area for about 1.5 years now, looking deep into it. Actually, I call like from Pocahontas to Mercer County, that line there, the state line, all the way to the tip of Tennessee, I feel is a hot spot. And the surrounding areas. Was there any old timers talking about, Dogman back then? What? Nothing?
There was rumors of what they called, a lot of people called him Odom, like his coyote.
Yeah.
They called him Odie men.
Odie men. Okay.
Yeah, Odie men. It's an old saying. I don't know where they made up the phrase, but it was. They say it was basically like a coyote that could walk.
Okay.
A few men would say they seen stuff like that, and then the rest of the crowd say you're full of shit, and they would just pick and packer at each other. But I have heard that phrase more than once by the old timers. It was called Odie men.
Okay.
And that was the only thing I heard about Dogman before my previous experience.
Okay. All right. So you guys have your first experience. You and your buddy then go back to the area. Your buddy has the experience. You guys are both now double freaked out. How long after? What year was that, if you don't mind me asking?
The first time was in 1999, and the second time was in 2006, 2007, I think.
So somewhere around 7 years difference between the two.
Yeah.
Now, that wasn't when you and your buddy went back there, was it?
No, it wasn't.
What was your second experience?
It was my second experience when my buddy went back. You're right.
The one that you went back and you guys kind of had the speakers with you and stuff?
Yeah, that was my other buddy.
Okay. Now, the area that you've lived in, you're moving now, but where you lived, there was a river down the road from you, and I remember you talking about one of your neighbors having a sighting with a Dogman in the area. I think he questioned you and asked you what possibly it could have been. Is that?
I think you're saying the one I seen at the flea market that time from Enrico County.
Yeah. Can you touch basis on that for me?
Oh yeah, he was down here from Enrico County flea market during Labor Day, and he got to talking to me, and he had some sporting good stuff there, ammunition, guns, knife, whatever. Real talkative fellow, real nice. And he asked me what's it like around here, and I said, what you see is what you get. It's basically 4-lane restaurants, Walmart, and Hills. He said it ain't much different from where he was from, and he told me he was from Enrico County.
Okay.
And we got up to, I mentioned, weird. I said, you ever see anything weird up there? And they called them the walking wolves or something like that. Okay. Or some phrase that he had made up for him. And, I guess he thought to see if I'd laugh, testing the air. And then I tested him, and we got to talking, and he had them on his family's property up there. That's the reason that he was basically went to flea market. They had tore up some of his animals, and he had tried to fend them off, and he did until the night they trapped him in the house. Mm-hmm. And they clawed the outside of the siding, the door, and everything. After that, needless to say, his children were already grown. He relocated to another place. He turned the farm over to his brother, and to this day, I reckon, I haven't talked to him or seen him anymore, his brother took over the family business and farming. Because he just said he couldn't keep investing money after money in animals to try to make it when he knows there ain't nothing he can do, that a predator's going to be a predator.
Okay. All right. Now, where's Henrico towards you? Is that north?
Henrico's out on the far east. It's not too far inland from the Virginia Beach coast.
Okay. Because I've heard other, not cryptid dogman people talking about it on YouTube, but I've heard Jay Williams, Let's Live Life, on his channel talking about that area.
Yes, sir.
So is that a woodsy area? Have you been there?
I've been through it one time, and it's a lot flatter than what it is at, where I'm from.
Yeah.
But they do have a lot of farms out there. What I've seen is, according to the map, it's not a very large county,
right,
but they do have agriculture, and they've got, it just looks like it's flat, so much as I can see.
Okay.
And he said he had pasture and woods both on his property.
Okay. All right. So that was when? Just recently, around that time, right? That you touched bases.
I think that was about what was that, Jeff? Back in 2019, I think.
I think when you reached out to me, you started talking to me about things out there.
Yes, sir.
And then you had your buddy, the first buddy that had an incident on his father-in-law's farm, where
Mercer County.
D had the incident there.
Right.
What county was that?
Mercer.
Okay. Oh, no kidding. I didn't realize that was in West Virginia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. No, there's been so many. There's one up there recently that was in Mercer County. D, that was in Tazewell County.
Yeah, okay.
On his farm over there. It's called, across the mountain from Maiden Springs. It's called, daggone it, what is it to there? Midway.
Okay. Now, a lot of people might not have heard that, because with the new subscribers joining, they a lot of people aren't going back to listen to old videos. That was a pretty interesting encounter, because the farmhouse was attacked.
Yeah, that was his brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing would go up on top of his house, man.
Can you share that with us quick? Just make like a brief, just, you don't have to go deep into it, but just like a brief scenario of what happened that day.
Right. His brother went bow hunting or crossbow hunting down on the farm. There's a creek that comes down on their farm at the bottom of the mountain that separates property lines. And they got a little apple orchard down there. And a lot of times the deer, late in the evening, early in the morning, will cross the creek and come across on their side to feed on apples. Well, he had set his tree stand up on the side of the hill above the orchard, where they come down and go up. And he seen something out in the saplings on a dark side of the hill that was over like a overhang of a cliff, and it was under it. And he seen it going between the trees.
Okay.
And he watched it. I think he said it got about 25 yards from him, and he got a good look at it. And he said when it seen him, and he said he started sticking his nose up in the air, turned around and looked right at him, and then it stood up. And when it stood up, he said he lost his control of his bodily functions, if you get my meaning.
Yep.
And he said it turned back, got back on all fours, and walked back the way it came. And then he said when it was getting out of sight, he said he thinks it went upright and it just took off. He said it was gone like a shooting star.
And he was a hunter. He's hunted his entire life. He quit hunting at that point, right?
Oh, yeah. He sold all his guns.
Yeah.
He sold every gun. He said, with this right here, I don't have a reason to get killed. And he said, hopefully they'll have no reason to mess with me.
Yeah.
Now, he's totally went catonic over that. He's blacked out his windows in the house. He's got these blackout curtains where nobody can see in, no sun can come in. He's put deadbolts on all the doors and secure X locks on all the windows. He's really fortified his home.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy, because he was like you with your firearms and your knife collection, and he just got rid of everything. Won't even
Yes,
go
sir.
out in the woods anymore.
No, he won't go out with. He's scared to death.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this man is 300 plus. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he's a man's man, and it basically, well, it changed his whole outlook on life in general.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Now, up until 2000, 2013, we'll say, Eric Smith disappeared hunting out in your area.
Yeah.
There's always been a lot of disappearances out in the in Appalachianville, we'll just say. You know, whether it be, you know, and I'm not going to say it's all Dogman or all Bigfoot or whatever. There's a lot of addiction out that way.
Bad. Yeah, it's real bad.
And people, you know, mix up with the wrong person, owe people money, people come up missing. But that really doesn't pertain to Eric Smith.
No.
You'd met him, correct?
Yeah, well, I used to do mine contracting.
Okay.
And when we had to go to the certain mines where he was at, he was a safety training officer at one time, over the safety or something like that. And we met him. We had to be safety trained. We met him.
Yeah.
And he was a very, very nice, humble man.
Yeah.
You know, he just seemed the type that you talk to him, you automatically just want to shake his hand. He's got that. Well, God bless him. He had that kind of shine about him. He was just, there was nothing about him. It just seemed like you couldn't hate. I mean, he was just that good a person.
Just a good guy. Yeah. Young. He wasn't an old guy. He was younger.
No, he was probably around my age. Yeah. Maybe a year or two older when he disappeared.
And that was in Cedar Bluff, if I'm not mistaken.
You're correct. Very correct. Yeah.
Now, what is the geographics of Cedar Bluff?
Cedar Bluff is an incorporated area that it's what backs up to what's called Richlands.
Okay.
And Cedar Bluff stretches from down into places called like Raven's Nest Branch, Bandy, on down into Baptist Valley, and it stretches from right there in Cedar Bluff up to the limits of Richlands and into Claypool Hill.
Okay. Now, woods-wise, what are we talking? Deep? What?
They can be. Yeah, a lot of it is woods. A lot of it is.
Okay.
Big mountains, steep. I mean, it's just, there's nothing real. You know, the location is no more woodier than anywhere else, except it does have some steep hollows into it.
Okay. Now, where you took those pictures on 460 of the caves, are there any caves out in Cedar Bluff?
I've heard of a lot of them, yes.
Okay. All right. Now, here's what I really kind of want to get into. For those of you that don't know the Eric Smith case, Eric Smith disappeared in 2013. He was a family man. He had a very good job working for the mining company. He answered to state and federal regulations for mining. I'd say he probably made somewhere between $40,000 to $50,000. He had a beautiful family. No reason for him to just run away. He was very familiar with the area he hunted, and unfortunately, he has never been found. Now, Richard Honecker, where DJ just shared, the Richland area, Cedar Bluff to Richland, that's where Richard Honecker was found. And also another body that's still not mentioned yet. There's still been no mention of that, DJ. Do you realize that?
Oh, yeah. And I don't know why they're covering it up. I don't know why they're keeping it quiet.
Right.
You find two bodies right on top of each other within the same vicinity. I mean, my gosh, why not tell the public? You know, we could be in danger and not know it.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think a lot of communities are.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't know why they insist on covering it up. I'm not saying it's Dogman related, that second one, or, you know, even murder. But, People need to know we're in the right to know. That's the reason we pay taxes for this.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that culvert, what's funny is that culvert was searched a year prior. And just like I do, anyone that's on a search and rescue mission, look in the woods, you come across the culvert, you're going to look through, you're just going to take a look. You're going to bend down and look in real quick. Oh, there's nothing there, walk on.
Right on.
I'm sure someone had to have done that. And within a year's time, you've got 2 bodies torn up and stuffed in there.
Yes, sir.
That's strange. That is strange.
Very strange. And the chief even admitted when they was in there looking the first time, they found nothing.
Yeah.
And then just some hikers go back and automatically stumble onto, bless his, what was left of his remains.
Yeah.
That makes no sense. They don't add up.
Yeah.
There's holes in these powers that be stories. There's just if you follow the news like you do, and you do it well, it don't take a rocket scientist to figure out the holes in their stories and everything don't match, and the information they're given from then and now. It makes them out to be idiots.
Yeah, exactly. You know what's funny, and I'm not saying this has anything to do with the recent kind of police presence, or actually the police doing their job for once. But I remember you and I were chatting one day, and I said, you know what? I got an idea. I said, let me get back to you. And I ended up calling the state police, Virginia State Police, public relations woman. And I spoke to her, and do you remember what she said? She said, I didn't realize there was bodies popping up.
Yeah, real. I mean, she actually hung herself.
Yeah. And I said, Tazewell, Buchanan. I said, all along that state line. And then you get you've got a bunch of bodies popped up within a month's period of time. The woman that was found off of Doran Bridge Road or whatever. What was that? Doran Bottom. Found there. And through a different person that I had spoken to, they told me that they had actually talked to a police officer, and during a stop, they had gotten stopped, and they just shot the breeze with that person, with the officer, and said that it wasn't even in the water. It was like 600 feet from the water. Have you been over there ever?
Yeah, I've been over there. It wasn't found at the bridge. Everybody thought it was. It was, from what I could see and tell, the police presence, it was a few hundred yards downstream from the bridge.
Okay. Now, does that butt up to any wooded areas?
Oh, there's woods all the way around it. Not real big, heavy woods, but the way it zigs out, into community property and private property and pasture, and then back like into town and subdivisions. Yeah, there's woods.
Okay. All right.
Quite a few, actually.
Yeah, so then you got that. You have that happen, which was, gosh, I think about 10 days ago. And then,
it hasn't been long.
Yeah, and then I think you went out to 460 and took some pictures for me, because I had another subscriber who had talked about, I believe it was his dad or uncle, that saw what they described as a bipedal fox, a large bipedal fox creature kind of walking in and out of those caves off of 460, which I think you said was part of Pounding Mill.
Yes. That's where Cedar Bluff meets Claypool Hill, and Claypool Hill goes into what's known as Pounding Mill. I mean, even the local Walmart at Claypool Hill is called Pounding Mill Walmart.
Okay. All right.
So I'm assuming, from right there, say where Walmart is, all the way down for a few miles, that's Pounding Mill.
Okay. All right.
And it covers both sides of a 4-lane known as, like you said, 460, and there's acres and acres of woods between there and there, and I'm sure there's a lot of cave systems, not just that one side of the road.
Right. So those caves, they had Brendan Schools was found over in that area, and that, which ironically enough, I mean, if you think about, funny thing is, if someone goes missing, this is just me. I don't know your area, but I try to. What I do is when I look at these cases and I read these cases, I try to put like I try to imagine a place in my area where I live, and if I was a police officer, if I was any sort of head of police investigations, I think the first place I would look would be the place around where he disappeared.
Right.
He disappeared in Pounding Mill, and it's like they just ignored the area completely, and now they just found him automatically.
Yeah,
you know,
I call BS on that one.
Real strange, real strange.
Well, here's where they hung herself, Tiff, like we were just talking. They said earlier that they'd received many reports when he first disappeared in August that he liked to supposedly go to these cave systems to be alone by himself, whether to think or maybe do drugs or just be one-on-one with nature, I don't know. But if they knew that information then, why didn't they find him then?
Yeah, exactly. Here's something that I want to touch on. You got Richard Honecker, 36 years old. Brendan Schools, 36 years old. Jonathan Kelly, 36 years old. All within that area.
Right.
I had made the correlation between that, and I had said it's very strange. Now, I wasn't hinting that like a Dogman was stalking 36 years olds. What I had said was possibly with everything that I've been looking into and reading, it may be a far stretch, but just maybe these guys at their age, with all of their criminal and drug addiction, maybe the government used these guys as bait.
Yeah, it's very possible.
Just to use as bait. It's not just my channel that has talked about the government using dogmen as military weapons. There's a lot bigger channel than mine, who has discussed dogmen being used as weapons of war. And I just, for some reason, it'd almost be a training exercise, just, I don't know. But then you've got the serial killer aspect. But he would have to be one seriously smart serial killer, if you think about that.
The serial killer of that caliber would be something you'd see in Hollywood, in my opinion.
Yeah, like Hannibal.
Right.
Straight up Hannibal.
Hannibal the cannibal.
Yeah.
Of that magnitude level of intelligence is what it would take to pull off half of what's been accomplished.
Dang right, yeah. You met a guy. We don't have to mention names or anything, but like we had said, DJ is into firearms. DJ loves firearms. And you met a dude probably about a year and a half ago, and you were going to make a trade, or you did make a trade for an AK pistol.
Yes.
And this guy said some interesting stuff to you. Are you allowed to talk about what he said to you?
Somewhat.
Okay.
I'm not going to use his name.
No, just anonymously, but kind of give us the gist of what he implied.
He hunts cryptids, aka Dogman, for farmers.
Okay.
And for other personal things. And he said his background, he couldn't really tell me a lot about it, but he was ex-Special Forces, aka I don't know what branch or whatever he's from. Then he did a contractor's work across seas, and then he come back here, and he lived and resided in the state of Tennessee.
Okay.
And somehow it led a run-in with one of these things on you would know it, the Appalachian Trail led him to start seeking these things out. And well, just like with anybody who mainly has a sight with them, you get interested. You want to know more and more. And the more he learned, the more he found out that it was pretty daggone profitable to try to eradicate these things. And it would be to try to view them in their own wildlife or take people out on, you know, sighting expeditions. And he said it paid, and it paid very well.
All right. Now, how did you feel about, did you feel like he was being honest with you 100%?
100%, I'm not for sure.
Okay.
But he knew a lot more than most people would about the subject.
Okay.
I will admit that. And the man, you could tell the man was well kept.
Yeah.
He was about, I would say 5'9", maybe $160, $150 at the most, and cut and very, very good shape. Very good shape. So you could tell him, and I seen some kind of military ring he had on his hand. I couldn't see good enough to see what branch he was from, but he did have a military ring on his hand.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I remember you showing me the pistol, because you had the pistol in your possession for a little bit, and it was quite the firearm.
That's what he said they used at close quarters. If one presented itself for the opportunity.
Yeah, 7.62 is a powerful round, especially
right.
close range.
Right, and plus you've got 30+1 in the chamber, semi-automatic at close range, a 30 caliber. That's like cutting a block of Swiss cheese with a laser.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I'm sorry, I don't care how bulletproof people maybe think they are or say they are, but there's nothing on earth that can stand up to a full mag dump of AK-47 rounds. Nothing.
No. I remember when I was, just starting to look at YouTube years before I even started the channel, and FPS Russia, he built a kind of a cinder block fake home, and he mag dumped the front of this cinder block fake home, and it shredded that. So I don't think a Dogman would stand up to a full mag dump.
No, sir.
It's hard to honestly imagine. I mean, even with the new rounds that you and I just are exploring, the Fort Scott munitions TUIs, they're taking out bears. I think you may have a fighting chance with one of those rounds.
I do believe. I mean, if you could stop a black bear with a 380 round at point blank range, and then it drop, and then with a 38 special, you're doing something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because these animals are just like tanks. I mean, they can take a hit and a round from a Magnum high-powered rifle and run 150, 200 yards before they drop.
Yeah.
But this new design seems to be what takes down what one would need if he was faced with a cryptid invasion or a cryptid encounter one-on-one, and it didn't turn out for your better benefit. I believe this will do what would be needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple more minutes. I just want to kind of cover now the area of Mercer County that's south of you. I know you've got friends in down that way. How if you were a Dogman and you were in Caswell or Buchanan, even, I believe Caswell's above Buchanan, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Or is it the other way around?
It's either above us, or I think it is above us.
Okay.
Or maybe below us. I'm not for sure.
So
but
if you're there, let's just say you're in Caswell.
Yeah.
And you're a Dogman. Can you get to Mercer in the dark or even in daytime by using creek beds and woods without being seen?
That's a joke. Yeah, easily done.
Very easily. Now, how about, to me, because I've looked at this, and I just, you are boots on the ground, Virginia, so you know what I'm talking about. And I've been looking at all these cases. There was a guy that just disappeared over in Fayetteville or Fayette, West Virginia, and they were talking about how where he lived was populated, but not really. And then I looked at the woods, and I followed the creek bed to, or a riverbed, whatever, to the state line.
Mm-hmm.
I
It's
think
not.
these things are just using that area as a, and I think they've been doing it for a lot longer than just recent.
These things are not stupid.
Mm.
I mean, they have existed, from what we know, we can guess, for hundreds of years without, if not very little, detection of humans. And it's nothing for them to travel, good Lord only knows the amount of miles in a given period from dusk till dawn. I mean, we don't know. And we already know they travel at very high speeds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if God or the man above or whatever, whoever you believe in is in charge, ever created something known as a perfect predator, this is it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And like you said, they have gone almost undetected. I remember when I first touched bases with Coonbow, and Tim Coonbow Baker is, in my eyes, I don't think there is an expert out there. I think there's people out there that have had more contact or more information than others, but I think Coonbow would be the closest to an expert for me. And when he admitted to me that he had to go back in the 70s, when he realized, oh my God, I think I got these cases wrong. These are dogmen that these people are seeing and not Sasquatch.
Right.
I think a lot of the cases from when we were growing up in the 70s, even before, people were seeing Bigfoot. People were seeing these things. And I think there was just a lot of misidentification.
Right.
Your area is prime. I really believe the reason why is first because you've got plenty of land, you've got plenty of water, but the caves and the mines are a perfect hiding spot. And also the caves go through some of the mountain range out there. So they could just travel these caves and not get seen in the daytime.
Exactly. I mean, there's no. I mean, it'd be harder than heck to spot one of these things if you're looking for it. I mean, even if they're in the area.
Yeah. Yeah.
They know how to do it. Basically, if you see one, it's probably 1,000,000 to 1, or it's wanting you to see it. And if that's the case, you better watch out.
I don't know if you remember the guy that I had mentioned about the fox looking like Dogman, but you
Yeah.
remember he talked about a judge in Tazewell, and you knew exactly who he was talking about. And he said, I remember how he described whoever had spotted. I don't remember who spotted it, what family member it was, but it was just he had happened to look over and he caught a glimpse of it before it was gone into that cave system, just gone. They're very fast, they're very elusive, and like you said, they are the perfect predator. In Virginia, West Virginia is the hot spot right now.
They're more agile than a baboon. I mean, they can run on the ground, they can crawl on the ground, they can jump on the ground, they can climb trees, they jump for gosh knows how far.
Yeah.
So, they can see it, and I'm assuming they have night vision like a cat.
Yep.
So day or night, wind, snow, rain, or hail, so to speak, they're about like the mailman. They're tank made. I mean, they're the perfect predator.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know. I don't know what else to say, but all I can say is be careful. Um, I appreciate you keeping an eye on things that are happening in your area and the surrounding areas for me. Uh, it's truly it's just I'm blown away at the amount of just the amount of disappearances and bodies that are turning up, and it'd be
Yeah.
one thing if it was a drowning, but these are mutilated bodies, the person that was found under the Doran Bridge was mutilated. So there's no explanation to that. You don't get a mutilated body that's off the side of the river. I don't even care if it was a, nocturnal animal just scavenging. It's not going to do damage like that. And a lot of people would be like, oh, yeah, it would. But,
No,
I
it would
don't
not.
believe it would.
There's nothing in the river system that could do the kind of damage that rumors said was been done.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, buddy, it's been fun. It's been real. I appreciate you. I really appreciate you going to those caves that day. Those pictures that you took were just amazing. And, I'm going to put a couple up during this video so people can see the scratch marks. But,
Well, I had an idea that I was going to ask you about, if you wouldn't mind, before you get off of here. I wonder how the viewers would feel about me going in this cave and videoing as far as I feel safe going. I mean, I'm willing to do it in the daytime. I'm not willing to go too far, but I think your listeners would probably like to see a little bit more of the cave, the internal parts, and just see
are
the
you
cave
going to
system.
have someone outside of that cave with you?
Oh, most certainly.
That's on you. I can't say do it because if anything happened, I don't want your blood on my hands. You know what I'm saying?
As one of your subscribers, Jeff, I'm most curious, just like everybody else, and I'd like to see just exactly what is beyond the entrance to that hole into that cave system.
If you're willing to do it, I'd love to see it.
Because I've got the material to do it with and tools, and I'd like to go at least 20 to 40 feet back in there and possibly further if I can get that far.
Well, make sure you got those Fort Scott TUIs and a happy stick in a Glock.
You got that right, buddy boy.
Amen to that. Yeah, if that's something that you are willing to do, I don't recommend it, but I can't stop you because you're your own human. All I can say is be safe, and let me know when you do it, and let me know when you're out. Okay.
I sure will.
All right, brother. Do me a favor. Don't hang up. I just want to end the upload. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate. I'm at a loss of words right now. I don't know what to say at that, but gosh, buddy, be safe. All right. And
I will, Jeff.
Is there anything that you'd like to say to everybody before you go?
No, just everybody get along. Let's make this a better world than the way we left it, and have a good evening.
Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's upload. And as much as I did, please, everyone, be careful out there. Also, please practice kindness because, yes, sometimes it is hard. But you know what? It's worth it. Also, may the Great Spirit watch over us all, and may He guide us down that path that we call life. Until tomorrow, my friends.